Well, as TikTok users post more and more of these claims to various disorders, there are some concerns for clinical psychologists.
I have DID, and that stands for... Damn. I don't remember anything ever.
I don't talk about feelings, Alfred. I don't have any.
From overplaying DID and at best spreading dodgy information about the disorder to promoting self-diagnosis, this person, known by the username Systemic Memes, or simply as the Inlé system, adds unfortunately to the growing list of questionable TikTokers who claim to be a part of the DID community. And to be honest with you guys, we haven't really gone around to covering her on this channel yet. After doing some digging, I kind of wish that I discovered her a little bit sooner, because there's simply just so much to unpack with her "I'm a system" narrative that, to be real, doesn't really add up and seems more like a cry for attention than anything else.
Getting high and playing video games is the best, I swear to fucking God.
But Mom and Dad are gonna be mad.
Oh, hey, look, no. Fuck your mom and dad. Your parents are a bag of dicks. Getting high and playing video games is the best, and I will never sell you out ever.
So, at first glance, not much is particularly known about the personal life of this TikToker. But from what we can see here on her profile, and mostly posts skits around her DID.
I've been left alone with my thoughts all day, and I'm about to make it everybody's problem.
Personally, I understand the need to make yourself stand out and find the right niche to attract an audience. Obviously, as someone who is making videos online, but just like those we've already covered in the past, it just kind of goes to show that there will always be a wave of people willing to go to great lengths, even using serious mental health disorders, just so they have something to base their entire brand on. Which at this point, I mean, honestly, for the last few years, is obviously so overdone. And just by watching a few videos of this TikToker, well, it's easy to see for ourselves. Because when you think about it, if we weren't talking about DID, would anyone even care about these types of people online? Unfortunately, probably not. But since they've already found this magic word, DID, and thrown it into their videos, well, suddenly it's their claim to being unique or even special. But like we've come to discover at this point, there's simply nothing special about this. Turning a complex mental health disorder into a quirky label just to stand out, it just comes off as selfish and tone deaf. Even worse, this sort of thing also creates a domino effect, where yes, they might gain followers and likes, but at the same time, they're just fueling this idea that mental health conditions are just trendy little tools for clout. Okay, look, the lip sync at this point is a total mess. But I mean, I guess we really can't blame her, since she had to summon all her alters for that video. Which is honestly kind of impressive if you actually think about it, though it does seem like they still need more practice. Each alter has their own part, but it looks like everyone in her system is just mumbling random words. Anyway, just like you guys right now, what blows my mind here is how on earth is she managing to switch between all of these alters this fast? While there are so many ways switching across the system can happen, what we are seeing here is definitely not something covered in decades of research. Based on the available resources, we know that sometimes switches can be more obvious, like when someone dissociates for hours without realizing it. This can happen when a person loses track of time or feels detached from reality, with no memory of what just happened. At other times, it's more subtle, where you wouldn't even notice any change from the outside, where the person can appear the same but feel different internally, like being in a different state of mind without any visible signs. But with that all being said, guys, my favorite has got to be this, when someone does the switching on camera. How convenient. They'll just be staring at the lens, totally aware they're filming, like it's all being planned out ahead of time, so they don't even need to fake surprise. It's honestly kind of wild, and I really think there should be a psychiatric term for that. But now, let's just go back to the Inlé system. The switching over alters always seems to happen so smoothly that it doesn't even matter if it's just for skits or simply showing what her switches look like. It's certainly strange how perfectly timed her alters seem to be. Like, what a coincidence that they always occur right when the record button is pressed. I mean, these videos can be hard sometimes to understand, especially when you consider the concept of co-consciousness, where the alters are aware of each other and share the same space, but there's more than one switch going on here. And as stated earlier, what the Inlé system is showing in her videos, well, it really isn't what is in line with what we know about this disorder based on hundreds of studies. And to be quite honest, last time I checked, I don't exactly think DID is meant to make you show your bad fashion sense or change into colorful outfits for a 10-second TikTok video. But what do I know? I'm certainly not an expert, right guys? Not like these TikTokers. Now look, whenever people bring up basic facts about DID or even just asks the valid question of does she even have it, she often tends to act kind of dismissive, like being all unbothered is somehow supposed to make her disorder more legit, which might simply just be her way of avoiding having to explain herself. But from what we can tell, she's never actually been officially diagnosed, which is a big deal. Some people say you can self-diagnose. With something as complicated as this, I don't tend to agree, but this is something we'll get back into shortly.
Systems, I have a question for you. What was the weirdest reason you've been fake claimed?
Not only is this one funny to me, but it is the one that happens the most, by far, the most.
Nobody with DID knows that they have DID, so obviously if you think you have it, you don't.
In this particular video, she talks about being fake claimed, with some arguing that she can't have DID because, well, nobody with DID knows they have it. Look, sure, that might apply to some cases where others are unaware at first, but it's not a hard rule. People with DID can absolutely be aware of their condition. Like, after all, how else would they seek a diagnosis or therapy? But what's actually being questioned here is how she portrays her DID, not whether she's aware of it. They are criticizing the way she shows these supposed switches, being fully aware and in total control during them. She knows this, but she's trying to twist the question, making it seem that they're saying something completely ridiculous, like that statement she mentioned. But that's not the case. They're talking about her being fully aware in her videos, and all while completely dressing up, changing her appearance, and essentially playing different characters. Basically, DID isn't just knowing or not knowing you have it, because it also includes dissociation, memory gaps, and no continuity between alters. For her, though, she seems to have this unrealistic amount of awareness, like she's got this extra knowledge of what her alters supposedly did minutes, hours, or even days ago, and what they like or don't like, which is just not how that works. Because the whole point of DID is that there's this lack of connection or memory between the alters, and it's definitely not some kind of perfectly rehearsed performance. But in this case, it seems like that's exactly what she's doing, which really just does not add up, as DID doesn't function this way. So of course, people have their doubts, but it gets far worse than simply making some goofy videos pretending you have this disorder for likes or just simply views. Because the harm of misinformation about DID is hurting the community. And before anyone starts coming for me in this video, I just want to make it clear that I'm not saying her claiming to have DID means she's necessarily faking it. But what I am only emphasizing here is that the Inlé system's TikToks she's clearly exaggerating a lot of things, which has led people, including me, to look at the details more closely. And look, I understand that living with something like DID can be overwhelming and scary, and many people with this disorder, like this, might even use humor as a way to cope, to take a step back from the darker parts of their experience and lighten up the mood, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to want to laugh at times when dealing with something so serious. But I think the problem comes by oversimplifying these things. Content creators like her are shaping the way their audiences view DID. And look, when people don't have proper knowledge of the disorder, they're more likely to take what they see on their feed as the right way to understand it, especially since it's so convenient. It's right there, easy to access, and you don't have to put in much effort to learn about it because, well, someone else is already presenting it for you. The only thing though is that the information people are seeing isn't always accurate, and is mixed with content that might be more focused on entertaining or getting views rather than giving a true educational perspective. So instead of learning the facts, they just end up absorbing a skewed version. And by posting relatable videos or even memes, these TikTokers unknowingly create the false impression that disorders like DID are simple or even easy to manage. Apparently, it's just so much fun to have them. I mean, all the people I've watched over these past years creating videos like this, and I gotta tell you, none of them look like they're actually depressed or even upset. They seem like they're having a blast, which contributes to the growing issue of simply glamorizing rare mental health conditions online, as you'll see in these next videos.
Go to the store, buy a bottle of hoisin sauce, open the fridge, oh no, I have a bottle of hoisin sauce. Go to the store, buy a bottle of hoisin sauce, open the fridge, oh no, I already have a bottle of hoisin sauce. Go to the store, buy a bottle of hoisin sauce, open the fridge, oh no, I've already got a bottle of hoisin.
Out of the few people I personally know with DID, none would ever describe dissociation as cute. While I'm certainly not an expert, I can confidently say it's not something that anybody would want to romanticize or even joke about. Most of the time when dissociation hits, it can feel like you're not even you anymore. Like parts of you just take over and you're left struggling to keep up. And sometimes you might even find yourself in places you don't remember going to, or talking to people without any idea how the conversation even started. And I know it's hard to wrap your head around, but your brain kinda has these shifts or switches that ruins your ability to stay grounded, making it hard to stay present or even aware. And these shifts can get so strong that they leave you feeling totally disconnected from your own emotions. Does this sound delightful yet? No. But this TikToker is presenting dissociation as just a bit of forgetfulness or feeling foggy, which sure might make anyone watching think, oh yeah, seems easy to handle, but honestly it's far from that. While it's true that dissociation can make simple tasks like focusing or doing daily stuff or even interacting with people way harder, and yes, when you're not fully there in your mind, even basic things like going to work can feel overwhelming or even confusing. But for people actually living with DID, dissociation is, well, much more than just forgetting a few things here and there. And it's honestly a deep and intense process that impacts so much more than just your memory. It affects the way you see yourself, the world around you, and even how you relate to others, which, as you can imagine, is probably not something minor, and it's certainly not a cute moment to boast about. In fact, it can be quite painful to watch someone go through it, as they might get lost in their own confusion, like they're losing a part of themselves without even realizing it. Now we're moving to the part where the Inlé system claims and sort of brags about having a therapist. But there are some obvious inconsistencies here that I would certainly love to point out. First, if she really does have a therapist, it should mean that she's not only receiving help, but also learning accurate information about DID. But based on the things she's been posting on her own TikTok, well, it's kind of hard to believe that she's absorbing anything from an expert. Because if she were, she'd probably have a much clearer understanding of how the disorder actually works, which in turn would make her a lot more cautious and mindful about how she discusses and portrays it online. I mean, at this point, I'm starting to think that maybe the therapist she's referring to is actually one of her alters or even one of her personalities she's just pulled out of thin air. Because honestly, at this point, that's the only way I can make sense of it all. And maybe, I don't know, this is how someone could claim to have professional help but still share things that completely undermine the seriousness of DID. Okay, look, I'm not trying to be harsh or anything, but she's definitely old enough to know better. And should realize that posting things like this is, well, absolutely fucking embarrassing. Maybe it's time for her to seriously consider her life choices instead of obsessing over a disorder she might not even have. And despite telling her followers that she's having regular therapy sessions in another video, however, she jokingly mentions that some of her alters don't even agree with its purpose, and that it's fine if they are rejecting it, which might be relatable to some, but isn't the healthiest way to approach therapy.
Some thought for us, and because of it, we're going to remove diagnose from our profile, just like this to this. Not because I'm suddenly not diagnosed or it was removed or anything, I still very much am. I saw my therapist Monday, I'll see him again next week. But because I understand that it's a luxury to have that diagnosis and to have a therapist who is specialized in dissociative and trauma treatment, and other people just, they might not ever get access to that. So I'm removing it to put it on the same scale as everybody else, because I am not above. A diagnosis does not put me above, and honestly, it's nobody's business whether or not I am or am not diagnosed.
Now you can either come with me and live up to your ultimate potential, or lie here and live with the consequences. I want to lie here.
Like, it generally amazes me at this point. Even though it isn't the first time I've come across someone like this on my channel, just how TikTok seems to rot the brains of many of its users and content creators. It's honestly so concerning. From glorifying mental health struggles and turning them into personality traits, to promoting the idea that seeking professional help is just an optional side quest, all while ignoring the actual real consequences that come with it. It's insane. This is not healthy, and I think that's something we can all certainly agree on. I mean, having different personalities or identities within your mind, well, it's not something you should just try to attempt to figure out on your own. And I know that sounds bad at first, but look, trying to do so without any help from a licensed therapist or psychologist, well, it could potentially make things significantly worse. That's just how serious and complicated something like DID is.
That'll make me feel better. You know what might make me feel better? Trying a new tea. Hey, guess what? This is a new tea. That might help me feel good. Hey, what about this tea? Let's try some different tea. That might help my mood. What about a new tea? If I get a new tea, that'll help me feel nice. Oh, what about this one? That'll make me feel alive. How about we try some new tea? Maybe new tea is the answer I need in order to feel better. Do I need new tea? That's the answer.
And when someone recommends that skipping therapy or relying solely on their alters for guidance is an acceptable alternative, and look, they might have good intentions, but at the end of the day, they send a harmful message that actual mental health care isn't necessary. And not only does she seem to downplay the importance of trusting experts, but she also promotes self-diagnosis or rely on personal judgment. as seen from this statement from her back in 23. But look, I mean, the thing is, yes, it's important to listen to your own feelings, but you don't have the same knowledge as someone who spent years working in this field. The idea that you can simply just know your body best might apply in most situations in life, but your gut feeling or instincts, they're not exactly reliable here. They're pretty much useless in this case. So you shouldn't just guess what disorder or condition you might have, especially based on some random signs you see on Google or what some random TikToker said. It sounds crazy when I say it out loud, but there will be people that just got angry that I said that and disagree. But these people don't know how you're feeling, and without being properly evaluated, you just don't know. Because you could be just simply misinterpreting what you're experiencing, or even looking at the wrong symptoms or signs entirely. And without the right guidance, it's easy to go down the wrong path very quickly. I mean, you simply can't expect a fragmented mind to resolve things on its own, especially in this.
You must store us at the right temperature, in the right humidity, or we will spoil and rot in no time.
Where's the fucking soil?
The mindset is actually one of the main reasons why you might prefer to diagnose or treat themselves, which is really concerning, especially for impressionable teens who might be going through similar symptoms to DID but aren't sure if they should seek professional help or not. And by seeing someone with a platform like this TikToker we're talking about, and they're suggesting that it's okay to dismiss professional help, they might start thinking their experiences are completely normal and try to deal with everything themselves, completely overlooking the need for the right kind of psychiatric treatment. So yeah, with that all being said, that's why I find it important to make these videos, to try and set the record straight. If you really do believe you are dealing with something like this, please do seek medical help. Do not listen to a random person on TikTok that dresses up and dances. Yes, that is really as ridiculous as it sounds. Go and seek professional help. With that all being said, I hope you guys have had a fantastic week, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.